First of all, I spent a lot of time on your site and I was just amazed. And I have to tell you, I love your music, and I'm not just saying that because I love all kinds of music. But to start out, how did you come up with the concept of merging death metal and techno club music, and how did you acquire that taste?
I never really came to a conclusion of doing it. It just kind of became like this because I grew up with so much different music. Everything from Black Sabbath, from my dad's side, Black Sabbath, and to Motorhead stuff almost, and then my uncle will be like pushing music on me, like more like Depeche Mode, and to the extent like Sigue Sigue Sputnik.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have other family members. Everybody was very involved in music. Like, we pushed me with more like metal stuff, and then somehow in between all that stuff, I kind of find punk rock and stuff like this. So I'd always been listening to all kinds of music, and I think this was just a result of everything that I've done over the years.
And you're from Norway?
Norway, yes. I like being here. I mean, I like living in Atlanta. It's a good place to be off touring, between tours. I like this nice little hub.
How's it all going so far?
Great.
It's going good?
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously the name. How did that come about?
It's basically based out of I did a comic book strip in this fanzine that I did. And this comic book strip was just this kind of weird, punk rock messiah kind of character. It was like all funny, instead of. Anyway, I call it Combichrist, and I thought it was just like a good character for what I was doing because it was all mostly fiction.
Yeah.
And
now, did you have another name prior to this?
Oh, I mean, I've been doing so many different projects, different bands and stuff like this in the past. So I mean, when we started, Combichrist was basically born in 2003. I've been touring more or less since '93.
Wow.
So
what's the motivating factor behind some of your songwriting?
Wow, it's really about the moment. I mean, a lot of it is fiction, kind of like movies. Like stories, horror stories. So it can be fun, or it can be just something wild.
Like the Gene Generation. I watched that video. That's awesome.
And it's just some of it is just very, very just much fiction. Some of it is just inspired by whatever I would feel at the moment when I write it, emotional. So it's basically a mix of everything.
How has the music itself evolved over the years?
Naturally.
Just natural. There's no plan. You just let it unfold itself.
Day by day.
Who were the other band members, and have they always been with you?
No. I seem to go through quite a lot of band members because in the studio, Combichrist is just me, and but live I have people with me. So
do those vary with every tour?
I try not to, but this thing is some people are just not cut out for touring.
Right.
And it's a really, really, really hard life, and people would think that
it's glamorous.
Glamorous, but it's a very tough life, and most people are not cut out for it. And some people got stuck with me for a long time. We just got a new drummer. Oh, a second drummer. I got two drummers, so I got a new second drummer. And he's experienced touring machine just like us, so hopefully that will stick.
Yeah. I know you've toured all over Europe, like Germany and everywhere over there. Do you find those audiences are different than here in the United States?
No more different than from state to state here. Really? I mean, it's so different from state to state too. So it's like if you play Australia, or you play South America, if you play Canada, US, Europe,
the reaction
Russia,
is always the same.
I mean, it's not. I mean, the differences are the same. If that makes sense. It's not necessarily any big difference, but it's from city to city. You can compare certain cities in Germany with certain cities in the US. It's just, I think it's more about like the big city phenomenon, and like small city phenomena and stuff like this. And Russia and South America is quite the same, because they're very eager, they're very hungry for new things, and yeah, and big cities are spoiled, like, you know.
Do you find it's hard to captivate that same energy that you put out on stage when you're in a studio?
No, it's because it's so different.
The whole process is
like
different.
I've been using this metaphor before. It's kind of like having a baby. It's like it's making it and having it. You know, it's so different things, but both very satisfying. So it's like you can't really compare it, but it's both extremely important.
Do you find you become a different person when you're on stage?
Oh yeah, totally. I'm totally in character when I go on stage.
Yeah. Do you want people to take something away with them after they watch your intense performances, or after listening to your music, whether it's at home or a movie or the radio?
Yes.
And what might that be?
I don't know, but yes.
Yes, okay. Where do you see the band going, or yourself going, in the years ahead?
On tour, you know. I have no plans. We're just continue doing what I've always done. You know, take it day from day to day, and continue touring, continue doing music, and continue being honest about everything I'm doing. Like, keep the integrity, not change anything for success' sake. And that's what we've been doing the whole time. That's why it's always been baby steps. There's never really been any big breakthrough, like in one sudden breakthrough, because we've been working so hard and for so long. So it's like it's slowly building steps.
Right. Today, We Are All Demons is your 4th full-length album. I want to know who produced it, where was it recorded, who engineered it. Was that engineer hand-picked by you? What studio did you use? What was the most frustrating part about the whole thing, and how did you work through it?
I did all the engineering and producing.
You did.
Programming, recording, writing. I did basically everything myself. Actually, all the way down to the cover art. So in my studio in Atlanta. Built my own I got my own studio there.
What was the most frustrating part about the whole project?
I think the most frustrating thing was like you were working so long on the album over a long period of time, because I'm constantly touring. So you got a couple of days at home, so you go in the studio, you work in the studio, you never really get finished with anything. And I think the most frustrating thing was like getting back in the studio and kind of like killing babies, kind of like you have to cut this off, you have to cut this off, and yeah, like should I do this, should I do that? But eventually everything came together really well, and I think one of the reasons why it came together really well was because of the darker side of what I was going through at the time, and that kind of made it more natural and more personal, and it kind of all the bricks fell into place very easily.
And a tremendous amount of release.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
How do you spend your downtime? Because I understand that you're into restoring classic cars.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
I always had a very tight connection to to the hot rod and the rockabilly community and stuff like this, and
Really?
And that's kind of like one of my outlets for my
Away from music.
Away from music a little bit, and at least away from the music that I'm doing myself, so I can stay objective to my own music. And I always loved classic cars and hot rods, but I never really had the place or the time to do it. But since I'm in Atlanta, it's a really good place for it. And
what's your favorite car?
Oh man, I was just like a car geek. So, and anything, so anything that is pre-70s, like is interesting somehow or another.
How many do you own? Or?
Well, I got a 52 Ford Victoria myself that I rebuilt, and then I'm working on a 70s Firebird and a 26 Ford and a 39 Holly right now. But this is like all up in the air kind of stuff.
And those are your cars?
Yeah, it's my cars.
Those are yours. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for the interview. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.